So what are the most profitable and fastest growing agencies doing right now in the current landscape to be successful and make a shitload of money? The answer to that question matters more than literally anything else right now if you're an agency owner trying to win big in 2026, which is why I'm dedicating this video to breaking it down for you. But why should you trust that I'm even equipped to answer this for you? And where am I getting this valuable information from? Well, in 2025 alone, I helped create about $6 million in new revenue for agency owners that I helped scale. For example, like Aaron, who hit 50K a month, Cohen, who hit 75K a month euro, Conrad hit 750,000 per month, Etu hit 250K per month, Krish hit 30K a month, James started getting 6 new clients a week consistently. I could go on and on and on. These results came from a mastermind that I've been running with close to 100 high-level agency owners. And so that gives you a really unique perspective, getting a bird's eye view and seeing the patterns of what agency owners are doing that are growing very quickly. Also the ones that are profitable, because there's a lot of agency owners out there that their revenue looks nice, but the profit isn't amazing. And I'm able to be in the trenches and see what the operations looks like, what the acquisition strategies look like, what the offer structures look like, and what the team looks like to make these businesses perform well. In 2025, I also wrote and launched the One Man Agency book that thousands of other current and aspiring agency owners have already bought, consumed, and started to implement. So in that community, I'm also able to see the people that are winning, that are implementing the strategies in my book, and what the common traits and ingredients are. And on top of all of this, I've run my own agency for 7 years, achieved quite a decent amount of success with it, hit multi-7 figures in revenue. And so I know a thing or two about what makes an agency work. But just last month, I hosted my first ever in-person mastermind event for agency owners, which was absolutely incredible. Over 20 of us spent the entire day together, sharing our best stuff and recapping what worked and what didn't work for us for the entire year. My friend Rudy gave a talk on how he scaled his agency to 100K per month in the legal niche. And we had Yash, a personal branding and content expert, break down how he scaled a brand new offer to 50K a month from his organic content alone. So in this video, I'm going to spill the tea on my biggest takeaways from 2025 and the gold nuggets that were discussed at my mastermind so that you can make the right decisions in your business this year and hopefully have your most profitable year yet. So first, we'll start with a retrospective of 2025, looking at what worked in my agency, what didn't work, as well as out of my clients that scaled the best and were the most profitable. What did they do well? What were the breakthroughs that they had? What made a difference? What were the mistakes? So on and so on. Observation number 1 is the fragmentation of niches and hyper specialization. So back in the early days of SMMA, when I was first getting into it, there was kind of a set of maybe like 15, max 30 kind of generalized niches that most people would agree are like the good proven niches, and everyone kind of operated in these general industries. For example, like real estate or like dentist or like gyms or chiropractors and physios and med spas and things like this. Now, as our industry has evolved and more niches have become more saturated and more competition is in the space, naturally there's only so much room for everyone. And if you need to have a competitive edge, then your offer needs to be more specific to a more specific client avatar. It's really just following the same principles of why we niche down in the first place. It's obviously going to be easier to sell to a real estate agent if you're saying, hey, my marketing agency specializes in real estate marketing and we've got a service dedicated to listing acquisition, versus if you're just a generalized local business marketing agency. And so now what's happening is agencies that are creating an edge and scaling very quickly, they're specializing even further and are finding niches within niches. So for example, within home services, instead of just being like a general home services marketing agency and saying we work with contractors, you might pull out hyper-specific client avatars and in your marketing material, create very relevant offers to those client avatars. For example, like pool installation businesses or land clearing or demolition or roofing or fencing or driveway replacement or natural stone refurbishment, so on and so on. Or previously agencies that worked in the dental niche, instead of their offers and their ads saying, hey, we help dentists with patient acquisition, that's being more like of a generalized offer. You might specifically focus on acquiring patients for dental implants or Invisalign consultations. And so your service and your marketing material is much more narrow towards a specific result within that industry. Within the real estate niche, instead of saying, hey, we help real estate agents, if that general niche has become too saturated, you might niche down further to sub-niches that are popping up, like working with buyers agents or partnering and working specifically with developers that are trying to find buyers for land subdivisions and off-the-plan projects. For example, if you were in the e-commerce space, you could hyper-specialize by, in the early stages, saying you only work with pet products or women's jewelry brands, but then not only that, you might specialize specifically in Google ads or email marketing. So essentially, the more competitive your industry is, the better of an idea it will be, and the more competitive advantage you will gain, the more specialized your client avatar is, and the more specialized your services. Definitely a big trend that I noticed in 2025 is that home services niches are on the come up, and there's been a lot more successful agencies popping up in those niches. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing. Anytime you shine a spotlight on a niche, that always brings more competition. But the reason that I like home services is because there's so much opportunity for hyper specialization, because there's so many micro and sub niches within it. Now, I'm not saying that it's the only niche to focus on whatsoever, but I have seen agencies that have scaled to 100, 300K a month in single niches like roofing or painting, or working with custom home builders and general contractors and things like this. Another trend that I've noticed in general is that I think a lot of the people in the make money online space are kind of wrongly ignoring the more traditional version of the SMMA business model, where we're just selling paid ads, lead gen, and back-end marketing infrastructure. And a lot more people are leaving in droves to go focus on shiny objects like AI automation business models, where fundamentally that is a significantly worse business model because it's not focused on selling customer acquisition for your end client, and you can't charge on a recurring basis for it, and it's more like project work. And so I think in general, people that stay true to the fundamentals of an agency business model in terms of lead generation being the core fulfillment, I think we've got a very strong advantage in the marketplace right now, because I think that it's a lot less popular than it was even like 3 or so years ago. Another observation is that pay per lead offers in the right niches make a shitload of money. And so a nuance of this deal structure and this version of the agency model is, instead of charging clients on a retainer or for a high ticket one-off build, and then you're building custom campaigns for them and managing campaigns on an ongoing basis that are all custom branded to that client, we're creating a generic marketing asset. Let's say we were selling leads to dental implant clinics and we're generating leads for people that want to get dental implants. We wouldn't create custom campaigns on behalf of the dentistry practice that is our client. We would create a generic brand for dental implants in Australia. We would own that page. We would own the ad account. We would spend our money to generate the leads, and then we would charge the clients on a per lead basis for a fixed volume of leads on a monthly basis. So that's a completely different model. Now, I would say that this is not a good recommendation for beginners, because it's a much more advanced service to provide, because the stakes are higher from a media buying and a marketing execution standpoint. But if you've been in the agency game for a while and you are a good marketer and you're switched on, you would know how to figure out building out the back-end infrastructure of this. It could be a good potential to look into. I've seen people in the real estate niche, for example, switch to generating leads in-house through a non-branded marketing asset, and then having like in-house appointment setters set appointments for real estate agents, and then charging real estate agents for a fixed volume of like on-site appraisals scheduled, as opposed to charging them like a fixed retainer for just kind of an open-ended, ambiguous amount of leads coming through every single month. So paying attention to how different deal structures are evolving within the industries that you're serving is really important, so that you can be on the cutting edge. Sometimes the way that we need to innovate is at the core like offer and deal structure level, where we're changing entirely the end result that we're even promising to our clients, or how we're delivering them the end result, like generating the leads ourselves and then selling them on a per lead basis. There's people that have been through my mastermind that are like 18, 19 years old that have scaled agencies to 300K a month, selling leads to finance brokers and life insurance agents and things like this. So there's usually very specific niches that make more sense for the pay per lead model. So you want to do a little bit of research and see if there's other agencies that are already selling leads in that format in your industry. But the most common ones that I usually see are solar, finance, like mortgage brokers, or just finance brokers in general, insurance agents, some versions of real estate, dental, credit repair, and then some legal niches like workers' compensation and things like this. Another observation for 2025 is that more nuanced funnel structures and different variations of the standard video sales letter funnel are working for different niches. This is something that I've noticed pop up, is that different versions of a video sales letter book a call funnel for inbound customer acquisition, different structures and orders of the pages are working better in different niches based on how different client avatars interact with marketing material and their different level of sophistication in the marketplace. So in general, the more sophisticated a client avatar is, meaning the more money they're making, the bigger the business is, and the more they've been sold to, the more resistance they're going to have to consuming your marketing material. And so you should keep it shorter, sweeter, and straight to the point. So what I've noticed some people doing is, instead of going opt-in page to VSL to redirect to book a call, then, a 2 to 3 minute thank you page video, you just go like Facebook lead form and then straight to schedule a page for like a 15-minute intro call. And then after that's scheduled, then you have a video that's your traditional video sales letter, but they watch that after they've already scheduled in for an initial intro call. For niches that are already sophisticated, they're aware of marketing agencies, they generally know about the opportunities and they just kind of want to get straight to the point, and maybe they're quite time poor. We're seeing this funnel structure work better, where you're getting much cheaper cost per calls booked and a lot better net throughput of your entire funnel. And again, we're noticing that there's a lot of variety between different types of ad formats and ad strategies that are working better in different niches for customer acquisition. So there's usually like 5 different formats of ad creatives that I always test, and a couple of them end up working significantly better in some niches over others. One version of ads that you've got is very just like bold, kind of direct response, offer-based offers, kind of Hormozy one-on-one will get you XYZ result in this time frame, or you don't pay, or some kind of risk reversal for XYZ client avatar, and just different versions of that, calling out different client avatars or making a different promise or having a different risk reversal. Then another one is like social proof heavy ads and case study heavy ads, where you're breaking down client transformations, breaking down case studies, showcasing the results that you've gotten for other clients in that industry. Next ones are like agitating pain points and highlighting the problem that business owners in your niche are experiencing. And then another one is more kind of just like direct messaging, talking head value, not selling too much, and just like selling the vacation and selling them the dream outcome of what it would be like if they had the problem solved that your business solves. And then switching up between testing still images versus video creatives. Next trend that's popped up is for lead gen agencies incorporating AI services and deliverables into your offer. So doing things like using AI appointment setting chatbots via SMS to pre-qualify, nurture the leads, and schedule in appointments for your clients. The software that I've been using this is called AppointWise. I'll leave a link to that below, where you can do a trial and test that out for yourself or your clients. Also using platforms like Synflow for AI voice agents to do like outbound dialing for either lead qualification and nurturing or appointment setting on behalf of your clients. And then obviously the whole wave of specific AI automation agencies came up, and there's a lot of agencies that are just exclusively selling AI automations. Now, I don't think that's a good model, but I think we need to be extremely aware of all the practical AI use cases that we can incorporate into our agency in terms of like client-facing deliverables that we're actually providing, but also things that we're doing to just streamline our operations within our service. So I think the main like highest leverage things are using generative AI content to make images and video creatives on behalf of our clients that we could have never have made before. Definitely the AI appointment setting chatbots that I already mentioned. And there's a lot of cool things that we're showing our mastermind members how to do, like automating literally your entire onboarding process with AI. So again, I really want to drive home, don't get caught up in the shiny object syndrome of running an exclusive AI automation agency. At its core, customer acquisition should always be the primary thing that we're selling as our value proposition. Our core fulfillment should be mastering one predictable traffic source that we can install into our client's business, whether or not you're a master at SEO, meta ads, Google ads, or even content. Then if you're doing any type of AI automation, it should be solely focused within the scope of automating the process of nurturing and converting more of the leads that you're already generating for your clients and saving the client time in the sales process. For example, my dad owns a vet hospital, and he is constantly getting sold and pitched different digital marketing and AI solutions. And one of the things that he actually signed up for was like a micro AI use case where veterinarians have a pain point where after every consult that they might take 8 to 12 consults in a day, where every single one of their consults with a pet and a pet owner, they have to write detailed notes into their files. So that's all kept on record. And so someone came along with an AI tool that records all of the consults. It's an AI note taker and automatically creates a summary, which saves him a huge amount of time. But for a solution like that, they're only able to charge about $200 a month for it. And so, as we know, it's just as difficult to acquire a $200 per month client as it is to acquire a $2,000 to $3,000 per month client. And so it's way more difficult to scale a business selling $200 per month things than it is $2,000 to $3,000 per month things, which is what we want to be doing and which is what selling a done-for-you agency service allows us to do. Another observation is that there's definitely been a shift from exclusively offering done-for-you services to also offering done-with-you and consulting packages. So I would be saying to start thinking about adding on a consulting version of your service where it's like a done with you hybrid, where you're literally just consulting the same clients in your niche, how to do the done for you service that you already do in a done for you capacity. As the barrier to entry gets lower and lower for business owners to be able to run their own ads and do their own marketing, there's going to be an emerging pocket of the market that it makes more sense for them to run their ads themselves. And I'm not saying at all that done for you services and agencies are going to become obsolete, but I just think that there's an emerging section of the market where done with you and consulting offers are just going to have a better product market fit for a certain segment of the market. And there's already big agencies that I've seen that have scaled to over $1 million a month exclusively doing done with you and consulting offers, selling to the exact same client avatars that traditional agencies would exclusively sell done for you to. Another observation is that in general, there's increased market awareness in many established niches to the types of typical services that agencies have been selling. And so long story short, you need to innovate, you need to change how you communicate your offer, you need to use more sophisticated language, and you just need to have better copywriting to speak to people that have already tried XYZ solution. A big mistake that I see lots of marketing agency owners make when they're running paid ads to acquire their own clients is that they're generally just pretty lazy with their copywriting and don't put a huge amount of intention and thought into it. They don't do enough competitor analysis and competitor research, and they don't really internalize all the feedback that they're getting from their sales calls and from their intro calls, and then reworking that into how you communicate your offer from a paid ads and marketing standpoint. Okay, so those are all the fresh observations of what I noticed have changed in the agency space during 2025. Now I wanted to talk about the things that are still working very, very well, that are the tried and true things that have worked for a while that I don't think are going anywhere. And they're foundational lessons that I've seen be consistent in my own agency and in every other agency that I've worked with that's been successful for my over 7 years in this space now. Number one is sell to bigger and richer clients. We're going to go on about this because people talk about this all the time, but it's a lesson that most people have to learn the hard way. And it's the source of 90% of your problems as an agency owner. Naturally, the best clients to work with are the most difficult to acquire, and the worst clients to work with are the easiest to acquire. And when you're on the come up as an agency owner, we don't have a huge amount of social proof. We don't have a huge amount of authority or leverage. And so we don't have the opportunity to get our foot in the door with the best clients to work with. And the best clients to work with are the bigger, richer clients that we're charging more for. And so we build our business around these like medium to small size crappy clients that are difficult to work with, difficult to get results for, very volatile, difficult to retain, so on and so on. And so even though you're not just going to flip a switch and then perfectly start being able to acquire bigger and richer clients, you need to make this your primary goal, and you need to set a very strong intention to move in this direction. And in addition to whatever foundational strategies you're doing to attract your core current customer base, the way that you think about acquiring richer, bigger clients is completely different. The way that you speak to them is different. The offer that you sell them is different. The language and the marketing messaging that you create is going to be entirely different as well. And the next piece of advice that goes along with this is charge more for your services. I've had so many situations where in the early days of my agency, my eyes were open to how much more I could be charging. For example, the most expensive version of my offer that I pitched at one point was either $1,500 per month on a 6-month contract or $7,000 if they paid in full. And I remember this one client where I said it was $7,000 to work with us, and they just assumed and almost under their breath said, okay, cool, is that per month? And I was completely shocked that someone would even consider working with a marketing agency for that amount. And the longer that I've been in the industry, I realized and I've learned how the biggest agencies out there, they just charge so much more for basic, simple things that other agencies would charge a lot less for, simply because they work with bigger clients. They can afford to do it. Not that they're offering the same level of service as a cheap service, but for example, big agencies like Sabri Subi's King Kong will charge like minimum $12,000 to $15,000 just to create a basic landing page for clients, because the types of clients that they attract, because of the amount of deal flow that they've got, can afford it. And it's as simple as that. Next is specialize your service around a clear client avatar, as that leads to efficient fulfillment due to repeatable deliverables and duplicatable assets. And so this was a huge part of the reason that I was able to scale my agency of reliable leads very, very profitably without having huge revenue. For the majority of my agency journey, we're doing under $1 million a year, maybe around like $600,000 to $800,000 a year. But I was always hyper lean and profitable, even at that high multi-6-figure a year mark. And even once I cracked the 7-figure run rate, we still stayed at like 60 to 70% profit margins. And that would not have been possible if I didn't have tunnel vision and stay selling one service to one client avatar and turn my agency's fulfillment into a production line by creating exceptional systems and processes. Because if you deliver the same service over and over again for the same type of client avatar, there's so many duplicatable assets that you can create. For example, if you're using Go High Level to run your agency, literally you can turn your entire marketing infrastructure for your clients into a snapshot where all of the landing page templates, all of the automations, all of the SMS and email workflows, your pipeline setups, all of that is copy and paste. Then same with all of your ad creatives. Your ad copy templates are pre-made. Your creative templates are pre-made. The way that you format and structure a campaign is the same for every single type of client. A lot of that can then be outsourced by virtual assistants because the task has no decision making and it's just the same process repeated over and over again. If you can have like core elements of your fulfillment being done by virtual assistants at $5 to $6 USD an hour, then that means when you have like a core fulfillment team member that's client facing, that's a more skilled person, and they've got a virtual assistant underneath them, then your client capacity shoots through the roof, and that person can handle 40 to 50 lead gen clients comfortably, and you're insanely profitable. The next thing is to have back-end upsells that are expensive and at least more than $15,000. A huge lesson that I learned from one of the masterminds that I was in, Cole Gordon was in that mastermind. He does like $3 million a month. And he said that 50% of their revenue comes from their back-end upsells, whether or not it's ascension of their existing services or upselling them more expensive things. So they might have like a 25 or a 30K USD mastermind that they upsell people to, or they charge like 16,000 USD for like 4 to 5 months of a done with you hybrid model. And then they'll just like extend people for continuation of that same service. So whether or not it's like a $15,000 consulting package or you're upselling people to a paid in full version of just an extension of the same service, you want to make sure that you've got a clear path to actually making those offers for existing clients. A lot of people have a lot of resistance to this. They don't want to pitch again to their clients because they're just worried about retaining them in the first place. But the more offers that you make on the back end, that's really where all the money is. It's free acquisition. You don't have to pay again for customer acquisition cost. So this is super, super important. Next is run paid ads to scale client acquisition fast. If you're even questioning right now how to get clients, your goal should be to get clear on your offer and prove that you can sell it so that you can turn on paid ads as quickly as possible. Paid ads is what scaled my agency to a 7-figure run rate. And every single agency that I've worked with in the mastermind that's had huge success, all of their customer acquisition has come from paid ads, bar a few caveats from people that are just beasts at cold calling or that are naturally talented with content creation and get an organic audience. But not just those people, but if you already know that paid ads is a good way to get clients, but you're not being as aggressive as you should be, then you need to reconsider if you're giving it as much attention as you should be. I see so many people having very like blasé expectations and not having true clarity around their numbers and knowing how much they should be spending per month to hit their target, to hit their goals. The longer that I've been in this space and been in entrepreneurship, the more comfortable that I've gotten taking bigger swings and taking bigger risks in terms of daily ad spend. And right now, between my businesses, I'll routinely be spending at least $800 to $1,000 a day. Whereas even 2 to 3 years ago, that would have made me shit my pants and I would have been super scared thinking I was going to go broke. Next strategy is to have setters doing outbound dials to the leads that you're generating from paid ads to bring down your cost per call booked and to decrease your customer acquisition costs. This is a very simple thing that for whatever reason, a lot of people leave out. They'll understand that paid ads is a good idea. They'll run paid ads. They'll get decent success with it. But if you add on an appointment setter to call all of the leads that you're generating from paid ads, one, your call quality will increase, your show up rate will increase, closing rate will increase because your call quality goes up so much because you have an appointment setter that has way more bandwidth to do a lot more intense call qualification. They can do more appointment confirmations. They can follow up with more of your no-shows and get people rebooked in on the calendar. They've got more bandwidth to follow up with leads more quickly, so you have a high conversion rate of leads to calls booked, and overall, more of your leads get more touch points, and so your entire marketing funnel is a lot more consistent. And then what you notice is there's a lot less variability in the volume of calls that are getting booked on an ongoing basis because your appointment setter picks up the slack from the variability of which of your leads just automatically book themselves in on the calendar. And then once you get this appointment setter in place and you see that increase in predictability, that gives you way more confidence to spend more aggressively on ads, which means you can scale more predictably. The next lesson was that the biggest agencies, they spend more on ads. They do the basics at higher scale. They just have more ad volume, more creative volume, more setters, more closers, and more digital strategists to handle more clients. Once you have like the basic structure of an agency at a small to medium level of scale, where you've got one main person in place of filling clients, you've got one VA doing general admin, you've got an appointment setter / closer hybrid role, handling your lead flow and taking your sales calls. Nothing much changes about the business model other than just more of all of those people and spending more on ads. It's just more of all the basics and more of everything. A lot of people think that there's a huge amount of like hidden secrets and hidden strategies behind the curtain. There's this information that you don't have access to that's holding you back from hitting your goals. But what I've realized about being exposed to business owners that are way ahead of me is that they're doing all the same shit that I'm doing. They've just got bigger balls and are taking bigger swings and are just doing all the basics at high levels of scale. And that's really it fundamentally. Another lesson is matching your deal structure with your client avatar. And so the deal structures I'm talking about are whether or not you're doing done for you services, whether you're selling done with you services, if you're doing a pay per lead model, if you're selling retainers, so on and so on. And so different niches and different client avatars have way more of an alignment towards different versions of these deal structures. Similarly, you could be doing a done for you service, but some niches prefer retainers and some niches prefer high ticket upfront payments. Usually business owners like to pay for things in the same way that they get paid. So for example, real estate agents, they have more like chunk flow instead of cash flow. They make big sums of money in kind of small, big chunks, but then they might have long dry periods. And so individual real estate agents don't like having like a locked in ongoing overhead that they have to continually pay for. They prefer to pay like 15, 16K upfront for like 4 months or something like that, and just get it done in one chunk. So now we've got some trends for 2026. Trend number 1 is that media buying will become more and more irrelevant. If you've been paying attention at all to everything that's going along with the Andromeda update, I see so many people getting in the weeds of learning all the technical side of what these things mean. And to give you some perspective, someone in my shoes that is a marketing expert, I spend very little time paying attention to the nitty-gritty details of those updates because I understand the macro trends and the macro shifts of what's happening on these advertising platforms. If you think about it, Meta, Google, X, any of these platforms that allow you to advertise on them, their incentive is to make sure that business owners spend as much money through their ad platforms as possible. And marketers and marketing agency owners are actually an inefficiency in that economy. Because if business owners have to pay marketers and agencies in order to use their platform profitably, then the money that businesses are paying us agencies and marketers could be going to the platform. And so Facebook and Google have a direct incentive to make it easier for businesses to just advertise themselves. And the way that we're seeing this show up right now is that there's way less of a requirement for us to be playing little media buying games of how we turn things on and off and do audience selection and set up campaign structures and all of this stuff. Yes, there's obviously nuances that matter there, but in general, in terms of the ingredients of what makes a campaign successful, I would say it's 80 to 85% creative strategy. It's maybe 10 to 15% your lead conversion mechanism, which is where you're actually sending traffic to and how you're capturing leads, whether or not it's how you structure your lead form, how you structure your landing pages, and then like 2 to 5% your campaign structure, genuinely. And so what this means is that all the leverage that we gain as marketers in terms of what strategy we're using to get our clients results is really baked into the creative strategy of the ads that we run. How we compete is based on, do we run a better ad? Do we have better copywriting that is baked into the script for the video creative that we're running? Is the underlying offer that we're promoting on behalf of our clients a good offer? And then is the creative execution itself a captivating and well-produced creative? So creative and offer strategy matter more than anything. Number 2, the next trend, like I already mentioned, is that there is a growing market looking for consulting and done with you services in many niches. Number 3 is that AI calls and sales agents are definitely improving. I don't think they're perfect, and there's a lot of niches and industries that will have a lot of resistance and pushback to using them, but you want to be keeping your finger on the pulse of the main softwares and platforms that allow you to use AI callers like Synflow and a few others so that you can be on the cutting edge of implementing it into the right places within your lead gen strategy. The next trend is AI support for consulting and support deliverables. So making sure that you have some kind of emphasis on building your library of intellectual property. And so I think the most valuable AI services are going to be like AI formats where other people can access intellectual property. So for example, the recent $100 million launch that Alex Hormozi did, one of the main bonuses that he included with that was his ACQ AI, which was just all of his intellectual property packaged into a custom LLM. And a lot of people love it, and it's actually really, really good. There's other softwares out there right now, like Delphi AI, which is one that I'm personally using for my mentorship and mastermind clients, because I have a shitload of intellectual property that I can plug into this thing. I host 2 mastermind calls every single week. The transcripts and the recording of those calls I can plug in that go back years to create a highly trained AI that can answer questions instantly, as opposed to my bandwidth being limited to answer questions one-on-one. And so you being able to do that with your marketing agency clients and you being able to do that with your team. Imagine if you had an AI version of yourself cloned that was trained up on all of your SOPs, every training video that you'd ever made for your team, and every team call that you had, so that they could just speak to the AI first before they spoke to you. How much time would that save you? Next trend is AI creatives. So using generative AI for still images of video creatives, whether or not you know how to use these softwares yourself or that you're hiring contractors that are enabled by these softwares, such as VO3, Sora, Nano Banana. I've seen people use generative AI to create the hooks for their own paid ads to generate clients, and that's been working really well. I've also seen agencies use entirely AI created images and videos to be the ads that they're running on behalf of their clients. I also think that more than ever, founder-led content and personal branding is extremely important for agency owners. As AI becomes more and more prevalent and more people's brains get rotted by social media, we are flooded with information. The world is so fast paced and business owners are just looking for clarity. And I think the people that get ahead are the ones that aren't afraid to get in front of the camera and be the source of what good marketing strategy looks like within your niche. I don't want to sound like Gary Vee yelling at you, telling you to make content, but it's still more true than ever. And the reality is that if you're trying to compete with another marketing agency owner, most people don't create content. And if a lot of other agencies in your niche are selling similar services, if you're the one that they know, like, and trust, and they resonate with you and they like you as a person, you're the one that they're going to work with. And the very last trend is pods of teams to manage pods of clients. So instead of having like single all-rounder team members where it's just like one individual manages a pod of like 15 to 25 clients. You have like one main digital strategist or client success manager that's like the project manager and the client facing person that knows how to run ads and is like good with marketing strategy. But then you have like a pod of contractors within your agency that you can pull on for all different types of work. So within my agency, I've got contractors that are graphic designers for making still images. I've got contractors that are short form video editors and long form video editors. I've got contractors that go high level automation specialists and funnel builders. So those are like 4 to 5 different people that aren't full-time employees that can be pulled upon for client work and project work. And if you establish those relationships with those contractors, have them in your Slack channel, and you get the same benefit of them really being as a member of your team, but you just don't have to make the commitment to paying someone a fixed ongoing salary. All right. So that is the smartest way to run a profitable agency in 2026. I hope that gave you some insight. I hope that gave you some ideas and some clarity for decisions that you need to make in your business this year. Now, if you want to be a part of a community and a group of agency owners that are performing at the highest level and get one-on-one support from veteran agency owners like me to fast track the growth of your business, then my mastermind, the Millionaire Marketer Mastermind, might just be an incredible fit for you. The reality is that there's people out there that have already solved the problems that you're facing to get to the next stage in your business. We've already done it, and holding your hand to help you scale up is not a matter of guesswork. I've built an incredible community of agency owners where their business has turned into their full-time wealth creation vehicle and is genuinely affording them their dream lifestyle. So if it's something that you're curious about and want to get more information on, DM me the word mastermind on my Instagram. It's just liam.casey. I'll pop up an image of it right now. I only open up applications a few times throughout the year, and the price is actually increasing by over $2,000 USD at the end of this month. So if you're ever considering joining, now would be genuinely a perfect time. That's all for this video. Peace.